Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony Demakis, from Alliance Specialties and Alliance Laser Sales, the place where we are mold makers that don't build molds. It is ridiculous. I know. I say it over and over again, but that's who we are. Why? Because we want to do all the things that the mold maker doesn't have time to do. Polishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative mold maintenance, all of those things, right? They're all necessary, but let's be honest, you only have so much time. And what you need to do is build molds. We need to do all your extra stuff. So let us help you. On top of that, we also are the the only laser welding, laser engraving equipment manufacturers doing all of it here in the US, right? We have a facility in Prairie Grove, Illinois. It's our laser development center where we do engineering and laser development building. So what does that mean for you? It means that you don't have to buy an out-of-the-box solution. It means that we can customize whatever it is that you need for your application, whether that's production welding, production engraving, you name it, we can build it there for you the way that you need it done. We also do production welding there. And last but not least, at this moment, we also have a sign shop in Macomb, Illinois. We are making signs. My son is here. He's laughing at me, but it is 100% true. We are making signs in Macomb, Illinois, everything from vinyl signs, light up signs, giant signs, graduation signs. People are graduating. You need a sign in your front yard. We can do that for you. It's Sign Makers of Macomb. And that's my brother, Chris, who's heading that up. So he will be able to take care of all of those things for you. So that's us in a nutshell.
Sounds pretty special right there.
It's really special, to be honest. I mean, there's so many things going on, and it's exciting. And there's more things that we can't tell you about yet, but we will have announcements coming. Christina Fuges just chimes on, and she says, we're just going to throw that one up there because it is true. Christina says, what the hell don't you do? That is a fair question. And hopefully the list is going to get shorter as we continue to move on. But I would say we're going to have a big announcement the beginning to the middle of June that we're going to throw out there that's going to help us to serve our community even better. So that's exciting. Here's another thing that we just found out. I just got done talking to Allison Klein yesterday from Gardner Business Media. They have the molding and mold making conference coming up in Minneapolis in August. Maybe Christina can chime in and tell us exactly what date that is. And we are going to be there. We've decided. And not only are we going to be there, but we're going to do another E210 initiative event. That is confirmed by Allie. And if you are unfamiliar with what that means, E210 is it's based on Ephesians 2:10, which basically says that we are God's workmanship and we are created to do the things that he already has planned in advance for us. And so what our goal is every conference, every trade show we go to, we are connecting with a charity or a service project in the area, and we're pulling the industry together. If you're signed up to come to this conference or whatever it is, you are welcome to come out and join us and serve the community in that capacity. We're not sure exactly what it is we're going to be doing yet, but it's going to be something amazing. It's going to benefit the community. We don't know what it is. But we are going to send out more information. But it's exciting for us to be able to say that this will be the fourth event that we're doing. So what started off as this silly little concept is turning into something awesome. So the date of the mold making conference and molding conference is August 29th through the 30th in Minneapolis. We went last year and it was an awesome event. A lot of education, a lot of learning, but a lot of networking as well, which is really, really, really important. And Christina, man, she's like the best. She's got to come on here more often. She's keeping me active. She says, wonderful news. Love MMT to be part of the E210 events. We love when you are part of the E210 events. Last week in Grand Rapids, we had 20-ish, 30-ish people come out, and we were able to feed over 300 kids in the Grand Rapids area. We packaged 311 pounds of food in 20 minutes because manufacturers kick ass. And that's really what it boils down to. So those are those things. Oh, we have our golf outing coming up September 22nd. You can register for that now. I would recommend highly that you go and register for that outing early. It will fill up. It's filled up every year for the last 3 years. Even during COVID, it filled up. We are opening up new sponsorship opportunities for people to take advantage of. But go ahead and register there at alliancelasersales.com/golf. And yeah, do that early, not often. I mean, once is fine. You can sign up one time, and that's great. The last thing we want to say is that this is a live show. And so if you have any thoughts, feedbacks, comments, opinions, like Christina is helping us out, she's doing a great job of being a guinea pig for us. Please, 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 we want this to be a conversation, not just me talking at you, which I know you can't tell because for the first 6 minutes, that's all I've been doing. But we want this to be a give and take, a little conversation. And if you have thoughts, please throw them in there because there may be things that we miss. Today is awesome for me because I have two people that I know are really passionate about the things I care about. You can't tell right now because my son looks very, very stoic. But when he is on, he is incredibly passionate. He is a track athlete. He is a coach on his team. Basically, he is Coach JDAC. He runs the 400, the 4x4, the 4x1, and inspires his team in so many different ways. And he is going to be graduating next year. And so the conversation that we're going to have today is all around next generation people. And the other person we're going to have, I'm bringing her in right now, is my good friend, Marion Wells. Thank you for joining us from Human Asset Management.
Great to be here.
And for those of you that don't know Marion, I was introduced to her through Christina. And we actually, the first time I met her, we did a podcast. It was at, I think it was at MD&M West, where we just had, no, it wasn't. It was in a small room. Christina will have to tell me where it was. Marion, do you remember where it was?
No, I don't. Was it in Ohio, Cleveland?
Was it at it was at the mold making conference.
Yeah.
So look at that. We just brought it full circle. There's another reason to go. You never know who you're going to meet or what's going to happen and the relationships that are going to come. But, every time I have a chance to see Marion, she's never like drab or blah. You're always like full of energy and super passionate about what you get to do. And that's what I love about you. You don't hide that energy. I hate those people that are just always like, yeah. Christina says molding I think it was 2019 or something.
It was right before COVID.
It was the event before COVID.
It was the event before COVID.
So, Marion, before we get into things, tell people a little bit about yourself, your passion, who you are, and why they should pay attention to us today.
Oh, wow. So, I am the owner of Human Asset Management, and what we do is we really provide talent optimization services. And I say that because, talent has become a really key area that everyone is focusing on right now. We use predictive index science methodologies to really help our clients think about the people side with their business strategy. We really want our goal for our clients is to really maximize their talent capabilities with data, design winning teams, improve productivity and drive growth. But during the course of doing all of that, we get to hear their stories, their people side, what pains they're feeling in the organization, and where they're confused on how to get started, and they don't even know where the toxicity exists in the organization. So we just help them get their hands wrapped around all of that and really come up with the go forward plan.
And really, that's a lot of what people are struggling with. And, there's some people that might listen to this and go, oh, that's all hooey. That's great for like corporate world, but that doesn't work in manufacturing. So if you're one of those people, here's just some of the clubs and organizations and things that Marion is involved with. West Michigan Tool and Die, located in Benton Harbor, Michigan, Board of Directors, March of 2019, serves as the chair of the WMTD's Corporate Governance Committee and is a member of their management committee. Mold Making Technology, a Gardner publication. She serves on the editorial board from 2020 to 24. Society of Manufacturing Engineers Education Foundation board, where she serves on nominating chairs for the scholarship committee. Board of Directors of the Automotive Women's and Alliance Foundation. The executive Advisory Council 2018. She presently serves on the Executive Advisory Board in 2021. UW-Madison Material Science and Engineering Department. So if you are wondering, does this apply to me? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It's really important that everyone steps back from their current position, steps back from the role that they're in, and really try to look at their organizations through the lens and the of their people, and really start to hear what they're saying and understand the noise that is occurring in their organization, because there is noise.
Yeah. There's always noise, right?
Always.
There is always noise around us. At every turn, there seems to be more and more noise. And I feel like a lot of times, you tell me what you think, Jack. You can chime in whenever you want to. I'm not just going to call on you like class, but I feel like sometimes the noise muffles out the things that are really important.
Yeah, well, it's at the same time, it's not being acknowledged. So
Sure.
even if it muffles it, it's not acknowledged. And then I think it's that lack of not acknowledging it that makes it get muffled out, right? Because it's like, um it can't be for real. I'm just focused on, Christina and I have this term that we've coined, being a tasker. I just
Okay.
want you to get the task done. I don't want to hear your drama. I don't want to hear what
Mm,
pains you. I don't want to hear what experiences you're going through. I need you to get the task done.
sure. Would you say that so I feel like that is an older leadership style. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's an older one, and but at the same time, it's becoming current,
It
because
is.
people don't have the patience
Hmm.
really delve into the why. Why do you
Uh,
feel that way? Or why are you showing up unhappy to work today? Or why are you asking me so many questions? We don't have that appetite to really be caring and empathetic, because this is, in our mind, my business. I've got to get parts out. I've got to satisfy my clients. I've got to deliver. And by the way, you just need to just deal with it and you'll be okay, right? And so it's
yeah.
that lack of acknowledgement that you talked about earlier that starts to take, pains the individual, and then that's how the noise starts within the organization.
So, I think that it's interesting for me to hear you say that that's creeping back in, because that means at one point we addressed it, right? At one point, leaders said, "Okay, we need to realize that we are in the business of having people, right? These are our people, and we should listen to them." And because if the people that we are serving, right, as leaders, we should be serving our people
Right.
and making sure that they're taken care of. If we're not recognizing that, then they're gonna leave and things aren't gonna go well. And I was under the assumption that we had made that change as like organizations and as leaders. And you're saying that we did, but now it's going back to the old way of doing things.
I think it's going back to the old way, because we have so much turnover in
Mm,
these organizations, and we don't have enough staff on board to really get the work done, that we've become very, very clear about what our priorities are. And getting the work done is first, and people are second. Well, we're going to always have work to do, so we
yep,
never get around to the people aspect of it,
that makes
because
sense.
yeah, we're focused on getting the work done.
Yeah. Jack, do you feel like that? How do you see? I mean, you're still in school.
Yeah.
When you're still in high school at Prairie Ridge, uh, your teachers are leading those classes. Do
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
ever listen to comments or concerns or things that you guys have? Do they even ask?
Yeah, I mean, that's become a much bigger part. Um, at the end of the year, which just happened a couple days ago, we would get like these surveys we had to fill out of, what worked in the semester, what didn't work, certain things like that of, what things they should keep next year to keep kids involved in the class.
Okay. Did you feel like you were heard when you put those things into place?
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Was it even a concern to you if anybody's listening to the complaints that you have?
Me personally, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't. Because I mean, at least for me, it was kind of just. I mean, it's English class. Just do the work. It'll be done.
Task oriented. See,
It's no big
Right.
deal. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what ends up happening is that we're going through the motions. We're doing the employee surveys, we're doing the student surveys. We take those results, but then we never really talk about the results. We never
sure.
do anything with the data that we have, right? But we're going through the motions to make that individual feel like we really care, and we're going to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of the situation is that oftentimes we don't execute on it.
Well, and that if you give the impression that you care and you say all the right things, all the warm and fuzzies and the attaboys and the back scratches and all the stuff, and then you walk away and don't do anything about it, you give the impression that you care, right? But in reality, I feel like the person that you're talking to, that you're having this ongoing conversation with, they feel differently.
Yeah, I suspect that they do, and I've seen that they do, and it's always quite the surprise to leadership at the end of the day. I'm currently wrapping up an engagement right now, where the middle leadership had an opportunity to really talk a little bit about what they're feeling within their organization and what the plant personnels are feeling. And when you look at the people that are closest to the plant personnel, it's your supervisor and it's your team lead. And those people don't really have enough time to really engage with the employee like they should, because they have been tasked with
Right.
doing a lot of stuff. So, and then the ratio of, employee to supervisor is so outrageous. In some instances, it could be 15 employees to one supervisor. Well, how is that supervisor going to be able to engage with all of those employees
Right.
and make sure that their needs are being met and really trying to give them a different employee experience? Pretty daunting and pretty difficult, wouldn't you say?
It definitely is. I mean, we're not a huge company. We've got 55-ish people on staff. I say ish because we just hired a couple more the other day. It was great. It's great. But to your point, it's really, really difficult to be able to spend enough one-on-one time with everybody to understand the ins and outs of their needs and what's going on.
Right. But see, for those organizations that are intentional about people, they find a way.
Oh,
And
sure.
those are the ones that are thriving. Those are the ones that are successful because people come first
Sure.
above anything else. And they are intentionally going after the right fit of people within their organization. They are all aligned around, what is our common vision for this company? What is our mission?
Yeah.
What are our core values? And they live it and they breathe it. Those are the organizations that are winning this, what I call new culture war. Because if you look inside of any organization, you have up to 4 different generation levels
Yeah.
within a company.
Yep. And each one of them, each generational level is looking for something different out of that company and
Completely.
what they want.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the nuance for manufacturing specifically is that, the gender change and shift that is occurring. You have more females coming into manufacturing than you've ever had.
Yeah.
And organizations got to get ready for that. I mean, if you have issues with listening to your wife or your sister or your mom, oh my God, just
Yeah.
come.
Look out. I've got every woman in my life tells me what to do. And I'm going to say most times I need them to.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
Yeah.
Jack and I were just talking about it the other day, right? The difference between nagging and asking. Like it's a numbers game, right? And I
right.
said, what number does asking become nagging?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But here's the thing. If you've been asked 3 times and you don't do it, you need to be nagged.
Absolutely. Yeah. You deserve
yeah,
it at that point.
yeah, yeah. But women bring it a different dynamics to the plant
Absolutely.
to the plant floor. They bring what I would call their nurturing aspect. They bring their maybe attention to detail aspect. They definitely love the work that they do, you know, and they're there because they want to take care of their families. And I think
Absolutely.
that is a great recipe for success in going out and trying to attract the next generation of talent. And I think you're going to see more and more women in manufacturing.
I hope so. So I can see that we have a lot of people that are watching. We got people listening and watching. Do me a favor, put your name, if you don't want to do anything else, put your name and your company in the chat so that we can give you a shout out and tell people that you're here. Everybody's looking for more recognition and to have their name shown and waved around. So this is an easy one. This is easy branding, easy marketing. Join our conversation with Marion. Um, so I just think that it's easy to listen to people, right? It's harder to put things into practice because you have the gamut of people on what they're actually looking for, and what makes them happy as an employee. And maybe happy is the wrong terminology. Um, for instance, we do a lunch at the end of every month, and part of our lunch is a list of accomplishments and things that we've done well, a little powwow, a little rah 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 speech. And there are some people that really really enjoy that. There are some people that I've heard say, Tony, we are not a cheer club, we are not a youth group, we don't need this, okay, just stop talking.
Yeah,
But on a certain level, all I feel like all the information that we share is really, really valuable and needs to be heard and needs to be said for that recognition. And so people know where we're going as a company.
yeah,
Everything we talked about falls into our core values. But if we made a portion of the people happy, they'd never hear me speak ever again. They would have only what they want to eat at lunch, and that would be it. And so when I say there's a lot of noise, there is a lot of noise, and you have to filter it through. And as the leadership, you can't do what everybody wants.
yeah, yeah. Well, there are ideal work situations, and I think our youth and this new generation is letting us know that I don't have to put up with a toxic work environment.
Yeah.
I don't have to put up with a work environment that doesn't have a career path for me or that doesn't care about what my personal career journey is going to be, right?
Yeah.
So I can just leave. And that is the big difference in the younger generation versus the older generation. We stayed,
Right.
and
It's
we
just what you dealt with is
it's
a
what we
bad
dealt.
boss, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that younger people have this appetite or unwillingness to put up with anything that makes them feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Period.
All right, let's do
And
a
that's
couple. Oh, go ahead.
and that's just the way they're wired, right?
Yeah. Couple shout outs. Sean Ford says, hi, Marion. Oh, apparently you're the only one here. Hi, Marion. Blake Fury from Community Tissue Services is joining us. And Richard Evans says hello to Tony Jack, Marion, #1 fan here. He really is. If you guys need molds designed, you should really call Richard Evans. The guy knows what he's doing, super passionate. I mean, he's always here. So that makes me happy. But maybe for you guys, you don't know. But I know mold designers are one of those things that people are struggling to find, and Richard is he's awesome. Tim Hadjuk, Six Sigma Master Black Belt with, what does that say? TRHOCI. Did I get that right?
I think
QCI
that's
QCI Consultants.
Mhm.
Thank you guys all for being here. But Marion, going into what you just said, Christina has a question for us, and she says, I'd like to hear what Jack hopes for or expects in a work environment, culture, etc., when he's at that point.
Well, I think just right off the bat, it would, what I hope it to look like is most recognizable to like a sports team.
Okay.
Right. So on my track team, it's basically led by the coaches first, and then it's the people who really know and excel at what they're doing, and then they kind of pour into everyone else who really wants to develop and excel in the same levels and areas that they are. And it's just like a tight knit family community, and that's kind of what I was hoping for in a jobless work community, is just people who are really good at what they're doing pouring into the people who want to learn, and also being able to distinguish from the people who want to learn and want to excel at what they're doing, and then the people who just are there for their job.
Mm.
Mm.
What do you think of that, Marion?
Very interesting. So, at the same time, Jack, you're going to have to deliver. You're going to have to deliver some services. You're going to have to complete some tasks, and you may have to be on a special project. So, in other words, you're going to have to work. So, if what I'm hearing is that you want that personal mentoring as you are learning your craft or you're engaging in what I call the world of work, I think that's very aspirational. And I think as long as you bring an open mindset, that probably will occur for you. It's the young person that comes in that is sort of like la 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 la, right?
Yeah.
And doesn't want to hear another perspective, who just wants to have their perspective, listened to right off the bat. These companies have been around for a long time. They've already developed their processes. They know how we get work done. They pretty much got the lay of the land. So the appetite for change and improvement, while it's there, it's not going to be where your ideas are going to be immediately embraced, right? So I think having patience, will allow you to get to what kind of learning environment that you want best for yourself. So I'm happy to hear that Jack has an open mind, but I'm not surprised because of his dad and because of the way that he's been parent,
Isn't that interesting though, that what we want is, like Jack said, the same thing you want from your sports teams.
Yeah.
Those people that are on that next level should be, and even sports teams don't do it right. You got quarterbacks who don't want to help mentor people, or don't want to stay after and throw extra balls to the receiver to help them get better, or whatever that looks like. They don't want to take that extra step because it's going to inconvenience themselves. And Jack, as an athlete, you have to realize when you first started track, right? You don't know how to run a 400.
Yeah.
You don't know how to come out of the blocks, right? And so you have to rely on those people that are above you. You have to be open-minded. You have to look at your coach, even though they may be an old, stodgy guy or a young, hip guy. It doesn't matter. You have to go in with the assumption that they know what's best for you in their job because they've been doing it. And
Right.
I feel like sometimes, Marion, tell me what you think, we a new generation will come in, and because they worked somewhere else for a little while, or maybe they did something else, they think and assume that they know better than the people that are in charge, and
Correct.
they don't want to listen to them, and they see them maybe as a wall, a barrier, stumbling block to get them to their next level of where they want to be.
Well, they're not. They probably weren't the right hire,
Mm,
because if a company is hiring right in the first place, they are really finding that individual that has the right fit for the organization, right?
sure.
And so if they're bringing their own individuality and their own personal agenda to
Hmm.
to work with them, then they're not a team player. They're not going to be, in that collaborative spirit, which is really kind of an oxymoron, because when you think about the education model right now, it is more team oriented. It
Right.
is about collaboration. Every once in a while, you get that lone soldier that wants to do it by themselves and wants to climb the ladder at anybody's expense, right?
Sure.
And you've got that on a sports team, right, Jack? You've got that
Yep.
kid who thinks, I'm Superman, I can do this all by myself. I don't need the rest of the team.
Yeah. And most times they find themselves alone,
Correct.
because that only lasts so long before you find yourself out of an organization. And we one of the things that we like to do is we think that everybody deserves an opportunity. And
Yeah.
so our hiring process is pretty easy. Um, Basically, you sit down with me and we have a conversation. And if you don't totally suck as an individual, we give you a chance, right? Unless you completely are off the rails,
Yeah.
and we know from that conversation that you're not going to fit within our culture.
Yeah.
Um, then there's
Yeah.
just no point. There's no point to make everybody miserable for an experiment, right?
But when you're hiring a lot of people,
Sure.
you have to use technology or tools to really help you in your hiring,
What does
right?
that look like to you, using
Well,
technology and
you could
tools?
you could you could you could give a what I would call a personality
Oh yeah,
uh,
like a disc
test,
assessment.
like a disc or a predictive index, or strength finders. But you're doing some sort of assessment that gives you that first blush of
Yes.
the individual, right? And really you're looking at that data complemented with the resume, and you're
Hmm.
looking for the inconsistencies, right? And then you develop your interview questions from there, so that you're more laser focused on what you're asking and what you're trying to address.
Okay, that's way different than what I do. So
Yeah, but but people are complicated, right? People
yes.
people are complicated, and sometimes you can get an imposter in the organization, and they become toxic,
Yes.
and easy to hire, hard to fire. And that's part of this workers' rights kind of thing that's going on in a lot of companies, in that the workers, they know they have rights, right? And
Of
so,
course. Of
yeah.
course.
And so no one wants to get sued. No one wants to have that toxic employee on staff, because it can really become a bigger infection within the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about that all the time. How you don't just
Only takes one.
you don't try to minimize cancer. You have to cut out cancer, right? Um, you can't just like, well, he's not. It's not that bad. It's just ear cancer. It's still cancer. Get rid of it if you can, because it will spread and infect the rest of the body. And in our case, the body is work. I think every organization has an issue with gossip to a certain extent, right? You can't get rid of it. You can tell. What are you going to tell people? Stop talking. I mean, that's not going to work.
Right.
Um, and people hear things, I'll say things, and they just switch it, right? You could be the same words with different emphasis on certain things, and it all means something different.
And now
And
that we have this in the
oh
workplace,
yes,
okay, so now you're posting about me, you're talking about me, you're talking about the company. And I often tell the leadership that, there are no secrets in your company,
Right.
because if an employee is not happy, they can just post up. They can
Yep.
go on Facebook, they can go on Glassdoor, they can say whatever they want to say about you, the company.
And it doesn't matter what, I mean, truth, right? There is objective truth and subjective truth,
Correct.
but nobody asks that question, right?
No.
If somebody posts something, it is quote unquote their truth. It's what they see, but that doesn't mean it's what's actually happening either. It just means that's what they're seeing in their eyes. For instance, when I talk about the lunch situation, right? Um, Somebody could say they don't listen to any of the feedback that I give. Well, about this, no, I don't. Because I think it's important, and I can't let you dictate what that's going to be. And maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I think you, like a lot of people in your age bracket,
Uh-oh.
sometimes let your outside voice come out.
Yeah.
So,
I don't
yeah,
think I have much of an inside voice.
no, you don't have much of an
No,
inside
no, not at
voice.
all.
And so I think that's where the difficulty comes in. I think we're trying to find a way to navigate around what I call having those crucial conversations. Um, and it's such a balancing act, isn't it? It's really
It
quite
is.
is quite difficult to rationalize with someone that in your brain, this is absurdity at its best.
Right.
If I've got to go through the motions, and I've got to have this rational discussion with this individual.
Do you feel like, and Jack, you can chime in on this too. Do you feel like people have lost some soft skills? COVID came, right? And we lost, I hate blaming things on COVID. I really do. But we lost 2 years of personal interaction and what that actually looks like with people. Do you feel like we've lost some of those soft skills of maybe nurturing or empathy or being able to
I
communicate with people?
I just think people are highly sensitive,
Hmm.
and almost to an extreme. And maybe it was always there and I just didn't notice it, but
Sure.
now I have a heightened awareness of sensitivity. And I think that when you look at the safe zone or the safe space,
Sure.
we were at a plant, and we were working with this plant, and we're looking at the data, and what we found and heard from the older employees is that the younger employees are spending a lot of time in the bathroom.
Hmm.
Like, what the
Yes.
hell?
Yes. What's wrong
What
with their
the
diet?
Yeah, like, what the hell? Come to find out that they view the bathroom as their safe spot, because they could
Then they're
go.
not in the men's room.
No, they're not. They could go on this. They could
Right.
go on this. They lose track of time. They're texting or doing TikTok or whatever, and they're forgetting about the fact that they may be running a cell, and that their assembly worker, may be waiting on them.
Well,
Or
not only that, but
yeah,
but you have a job to do, right?
correct.
Like you're we all
But
try
it's
really,
like
really
time out.
hard not to
Like time
ask
out. I
people.
need a break. I need a break. And this is too
Yeah.
much, right? It's too much.
But my question is it too much, right? Like everybody gets breaks. Every organization has breaks. Uh, they do. It's illegal not to. Not that
Right.
that's the only reason, but people need breaks. And that has to be within a certain capacity. But just because you're tired of sitting because you sat for 10 minutes or whatever that is, doesn't entitle you now to go to the bathroom for a half hour because you worked for a half hour. It's not a 1-for-1 equal. Like when Jack was little, he wanted to play video games, and we had a rule that it was like 1 hour of reading, 1 hour of video games. That's a 1-to-1 ratio that I get to set. Just because you think I've sat here for 30 minutes, I get a 10-minute break, does not make that reality. Because when you go home, I don't say, hey, take this work home with you, and after you watch a half hour of TV, I need you to do a half hour of work.
Well, there's hope.
Okay, I like hope.
when you look at how educators post-COVID recognize that, students were much more resilient, than they thought, that students were adaptable because they had to change on a dime.
Sure.
Their educational model. When you think about the conditioning and the indoctrination around being more resilient, being more adaptable, I feel like the younger kids, that
when you say younger kids, what does that look like?
Sorry. I'm talking like maybe middle schooler who are mature enough to really get the messaging. I think that group is going to really surprise us, and
Okay.
that would be your alpha generation.
Okay.
So and
they get a
those,
cool name at least.
Yeah, it is cool, and they're bringing in a different mindset. Think about what they've gone through. They've been through COVID, they've had to adapt, they've been through, social media. They were the first group that came to the kitchen table with their phones, and their mom said, no, the phone gets turned off. There's rules, there's regulation. So they're kind of being groomed in such a way that they're going to be light years ahead when they get to the workforce. They're going to be able to deal with the technology, the automation. They're going to be able to push through. They're going to be adaptable. They're going to be able to change on a dime. And that is my hope for the future in terms of this next generation coming into the workforce that's going to be able to change it a little bit.
What do you think about what she's saying, Jack? You're seeing not junior high kids. Well, you do see junior high kids. You see them every Wednesday and every Sunday, and stories with your sister, and you see freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. They're all on the track team. What do you think about what Marion's saying about the adaptability of people?
I think that for COVID, some people's adaptability really thrived and developed. But I think more than most, people kind of just fell off and they got used to floating and just being able to pass by with doing very minimum work. And I kind of see that in the grade above me. So the seniors that are graduating this year, like a lot of them are just not motivated, kind of just floating by. And, it's difficult to see, but on the bright side, my grade, at least the way I see it, is we kind of missed that cutoff a little bit. And, some of us are more dedicated and motivated to do great on the things that we're supposed to do. And it's easy to see that, for sports, like I talked about, that cutoff toward the end of the year for the seniors. A lot of them kind of just stopped trying in a way, and they had a loss of desire and motivation because they were done.
But you have to remember, COVID was 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, you were in 8th grade. When it started. So you did pick up that adaptability. You did pick up that resilience. You did, like I said, there's a certain group that really not benefited, but thrived during COVID. And then there is that older group that didn't quite thrive. And then there is the younger group, the kindergartners and the first graders and the second graders who didn't thrive because they had a mask on. And most of your learning is watching people's facial expression and how they talk, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the challenge that we have here, is that we're anchored with two groups of different kinds of individual that didn't benefit,
Mm-hmm.
and then we've got this group in the middle that thrived.
Yeah.
So
Well, hopefully your sister's in that middle group where she can thrive.
Yeah, I think she just got the
yeah,
cutoff in.
I
Yeah.
mean,
she's just the
she
cutoff.
starts freshman year next year, so she's
Yep,
graduating tonight. We
yep,
have junior high graduation tonight, so that's
yeah,
exciting.
yeah,
Um, and it's so weird because I mean, every person is different, right? You can't judge how all these students are going to be when they're coming out because you don't know what their family structure was like. You don't know
yeah,
what they've been taught as far as what it's like to be a human, right? Like
yeah,
that human element. You
yeah,
don't know what they know as right or wrong behavior or what's
yeah.
acceptable and not acceptable.
And that is your future employee.
Yeah,
And
and
so the challenge for organizations is that you're going to leaders are going to have to be adept at really understanding the human dynamics that they're dealing with, more so now than ever,
yeah,
if they want their organizations to be successful. And so attention to detail around people's needs are going to have to be, made.
right. Right. I don't disagree with you. To me, it's a really scary thing when I look around and it seems like the ideas of right and wrong, however you want to look at it, that's not a political statement. It's just how I feel. The ideas of right and wrong and it just have been so blurred.
Yeah,
And there's the subjective versus objective reality of what's actually happening around us is kind of out the window. And
yeah,
uh, for businesses, like when you say, right, you have to know your core values, you have to know your mission, you have to know what you stand for, you have to know the purpose of your company. Um, you have that all over the place. But if somebody else comes in, they say, well, listen, I think you should change that. I think you should change that. I
yeah.
think you should change that. And I agree with you about being adaptable and listening to people. But there's certain things you have to say no to also.
Then you have to catch it at the front door.
Agreed.
You cannot let it in your organization. So you have to do a better job in that hiring phase to really understand who it is that you're letting into the organization and making sure that they are a good fit. Otherwise, it's going to be hell for both people, the organization and the employee themselves.
Yeah. So do you get to work with a lot of young people? Is that
Well, when you say young is all relative.
it
When I'm
is.
working on the plant floor, I think the youngest person that I've had the opportunity to just see are probably in that 24,
Okay.
25 kind of age bracket. I think there's really been, I think there's really been a reluctance to really bring in that 18-year-old, that 19-year-old, that
Mm,
20-year-old. I think companies would like for them to do a little bit of marinating, and growing up before they come into the plant floor. And
sure.
then there are some companies that feel adept at taking the younger employee and developing them for the apprentice programs or something like that. But then there's always that fear of being poached, right? I spent all this money developing you only to lose you to another organization. So I think companies are becoming a little bit smarter about their target audience that they want for their organizations and who they want to develop and who they want to groom, etc.
Well, and I think it's Simon Sinek. I think it's Simon Sinek. I'm gonna give him credit
Yeah.
even if he didn't say it. But he talks about all the time with training and everything, and says, he's had people come up to him and say, "So you want me to invest all this time and energy and train this person so they can leave and go somewhere else?" And his
Yeah.
answer is, "Well, you want to keep them in your organization and not train them?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a very solid plan either."
Yeah.
I think where we've had success, and I'll know if I'm right because Vanessa will either is that we do listen to people, and I think people like to stay here because I think it's a good place to work. Now I'm biased, honestly, but I think it's a good place to work, and we do try and train people because we want them to be excellent at what they do,
A-
and
That's great. And so that vibe, that energy that you've created is called your culture.
Yes.
So that culture
Yes.
that you have created catches on. And what young people are really good at is spreading the word, right? Both
Yeah.
good and bad. So if you got a
Yes.
great vibe and if you got a great thing going, let me tell you, they will be your biggest advocate. They will get out there, they'll find that other employee because they want company at work, right? They want more, to see more of them there. So they're gonna help you.
Yeah. Jack, do you have any questions for Marion?
I guess I have one.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know exactly how would you go about answering this because sports and work are different. Um,
Hmm.
but
I think they're a lot more
man,
similar.
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
they're similar than you think.
yeah. But marinating on this question a little bit, I can see how it might be a little difficult to answer. Um, but as one of the best 400 runners in the school and the best on the team this year,
He's also humble.
very
Okay.
humble. Um, so you can kind of see that difference in people who are really motivated and working and getting better and getting to that next level, and people who just kind of don't really care that much.
Hmm.
And my question is, since there's a lot of noise from both sides, how much noise from the people that don't really care should you be taking in consideration, and how much
Mm.
from the people that do care? How much should you take into consideration with that, and should you favor any sides or treat both sides equally?
That is a difficult question. And I
Hmm.
think
Man, the boy's bringing it.
yeah, and I think it's a balancing act. I really
Hmm.
do. I think that at the end of the day, your reward system and how you reward people for their performance will help to galvanize both groups together, right?
Hmm.
And so the thing that you really want is you want people to recognize when something is not a fit for them.
Hmm.
And if they recognize it, Jack, they will leave on their own, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you hope for. But at the same time, you have to have a reward system in there that rewards for performance, that really gives people ownership of their own merit,
Yeah.
you know, because quite frankly, if you're not bringing your A game, you're probably not going to get those marriage, you're not going to make that money.
Hmm.
And over time, you're going to either leave or you're just going to be satisfied with not making any money. And guess
Yeah.
what? That's on you. That's on you as the individual. That's a choice that you're making.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We Jack's been watching The Last Dance, the Bulls show, and just watching how Michael Jordan, obviously greatest of all time, right? So he's got room to talk.
Right.
But he was not a warm and fuzzy guy.
Nope.
He pushed people to their limits and wanted the best for them. He wanted to get them to the level that he was at so that the team could be at its best.
That's right.
I don't think there were any safe spaces.
Nope. Nope.
When you were saying that, like that, maybe they just need a break. I was thinking of Jack, and like, could you imagine, right? There's a guy running the 400,
Yeah.
and at the 100 he stops, stretches,
Yeah.
calls over for a glass of water, then he
Mhm.
runs another 100, and because he needs a break.
Hmm.
Yeah.
He'd lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only would he lose,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
everybody would lose their minds.
Hmm.
No,
Yep.
but it's coming. That reality is coming. So sometimes we just have to let it happen.
But
And
how do but why? Why do we have to let bad behaviors happen? How do we stop bad behaviors from becoming a thing? Right? It should never be acceptable for a kid to be, and this is a silly example, for a kid to be in a 400 race, an athlete, and do something like that, right? That's a joke. It should never be acceptable. Like if you're at a restaurant and you can't see your waiter because they keep going to the bathroom to check their phone because they don't want to wait tables right now. We
yeah,
can't ever get to a point in society where we say that's an acceptable behavior.
absolutely. And so we're in a crossfire, right? We're in a cultural
Yeah.
fire where
So
the
how do we
dominant
stop it?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. All I can tell you is that good parenting can
Yeah.
go a long way.
Yes.
And I think that parents are going to have to become more engaged in helping to develop their kids and not be dependent on educators
Yeah.
and certainly not the employers.
Right.
So,
And that's what I think you and I were talking about before. And
yeah,
Marion, I would love to have you on like all the time because I feel like we can just keep talking about it. I think we need to develop humans is what we
yeah,
need to do.
yeah,
We need to develop quality people
yeah.
that, everybody sees it, right? When even as a kid and you work on a group project,
Mm-hmm.
there are
Mhm.
people that love group projects. There's people that hate group projects. Vanessa hated group projects. I know she hated group projects
I love
because
them.
Vanessa did all the work.
Mm-hmm. I love them
But you
Great.
also do a lot of work.
when I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy that wins the sales competition and the marketing competition doesn't do that by not doing any of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You
So
just did
there's
the
going to
work
be
you had to do.
Yeah.
there's,
Mhm.
there's going to be a reconditioning, a societal reconditioning where parents are slowly, what I say, coming out of a fog,
Mhm.
and you're getting more alignment around what we want for our children. And I think that conversation is start taking shape as we speak. So I'm hopeful, like I said, for the next, 5 years that change will be coming. And I feel confident that mothers and fathers will now be more engaged than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I also think that, my friend Danny, he was at one point him and his wife were gonna have a baby, and he said, "Tony, you seem like you do a good job with your kids, from what I can see on social media," which is always the truth. Everybody knows that's always the truth. He said, what is your secret to being a parent?" And my answer to him was, "Love your kids. That's it. Love your kids." And he said, "That's easy. Everybody does that." I said, "No, they don't. They may say, 'I love you,' right? They may take care of their kids. They may provide for their kids, but they don't actually love their kids." And I think when you love somebody, I'm not saying be their best friend. I'm not saying cave into every request that they have. I'm not saying let them off the hook. I'm saying love them, right? What did I used to tell you when you would get in trouble? Do you remember?
It hasn't happened in so long.
It hasn't.
I
It's
forgot,
actually a
yeah.
good kid. I used to tell him, my job is not to be your friend. My job is to make sure that you're not worthless. You're not a worthless good for nothing when you get older. That you are a quality human being. That's my job as a parent. If you like me and we're friends later, that's a bonus. But
Yeah,
that's not my job.
yeah,
And I think that we need to get back to that as parents and as educators and as employees and whatever. I think if you're listening to this and you have people in your staff that you think, what is wrong with this guy? What is wrong with this person? Why don't they get it? Right? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. But maybe what that person needs is somebody to come alongside them and mentor them, not just in their
correct.
profession, but in their life, right? Maybe they've never had somebody to reach out to them and say, "What's going on in your life? How can I help you? What do you need? You're going through something. Let me be that person. What's happening?" Right? That's the part of loving people and caring for people. And then not just saying, "Oh, that's how you feel. It must be true," but challenge people and ask them difficult questions. Because if we just sit back and say, "Well, I guess the 400 now takes 6 minutes because you get drinks of water every 50, that just becomes the new way to do it. And it's wrong. And the only way to stop it is to stop it, in my opinion, and make the change. Too many people just complain about things and they don't change things that are happening. They just go, "Well, I guess this is the way we do it now."
But it requires everyone to get
Yes.
involved.
Yes.
And you can't sit on the sidelines anymore.
No.
And I think that this game of life that we play requires full engagement. And I think that's what we're learning.
Yeah. We can't play flag football anymore.
Nope.
It's tackle.
It's that.
And we got to get dirty. It's tackle in the rain and the mud and the muck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it spills over into every part of our lives,
Yes.
including work.
Yeah. And really, um, I'll say it again. Our youth pastor, he says it all the time. You got to love God and you got to love people. Tim Bartz is famous for saying you got to love people. Tim Bartz, if you don't know, was founder of Moldcraft. He started iWarriors. He's now retired. But if you mention Tim Bartz in the mold making world, the answer is you got to love people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 100% true in everything that you're doing. So the conversations that you're having, the way you lead, the way you train, the way you work with customers, the way you everything, right?
Yeah,
You got to
yeah,
love people.
gotta love them.
All right, we're almost done. If you're still with us, I hope you are, and I hope you found some value today. We end every show with a prayer because I think that's really, really, really important. So if anybody is still on the chat and you have a prayer request, go ahead and put that in there. While you are thinking, I'm going to ask this question. Marion, what is an upcoming life event that you are really excited about?
I, believe it or not, turned 65 on May 29th.
Heck
And
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's been quite reflective because now I'm thinking about what kind of journey do I want to lead from
Mm,
65 till 70? How impactful do I want to be? How many lives do I want to touch? And where can I really make a difference? So it's amazing as how you turn that corner and the legacy part and how you want to leave the planet, you know, recognizing that you might be in the fourth quarter and it's not a tied game. You're winning the game and you really want to take it all the way. What are you going to do?
yeah. Well, you only got a couple days to figure this out. Have you thought of anything?
I'm thinking I'm getting there. My children are excited. They're gonna meet me in Mexico.
Okay.
We're gonna all hang out as a family.
Not
I'll,
Tijuana,
I'll
I'm hoping.
Yes, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be warm. It's gonna be wonderful. I'm excited.
Good.
And then I'll spend some time decompressing, and then I'll come back the energized bunny like I always do,
Yeah.
right? And I'll get back at it. I think for us, my generation, longevity means doing something, but doing what you want to do, but doing something.
Sure. Sure. And I love the idea that you said that you are trying to figure out what that legacy is. How are you going to impact the most people with the most good?
Yeah.
Right. That's a great goal. And, if I can help in any way, I would love to. I don't know what that looks like. I don't even know if you want my help. You're just like, Tony, leave
Oh,
me alone.
Tony,
Lose my number. We don't have to talk anymore.
I'm going to see you in August anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How about this one? What is the main thing that influences your decisions? And then I'll leave you alone for a while.
Oh, wow. The main thing. It's gotta be my faith.
Okay.
It's gotta be my faith.
Yeah. How do you apply that?
By doing the right thing.
Sure. Yeah.
and having courage and having a voice
Yeah.
and not being afraid, right?
Yeah. And I think you're very good at that, and being bold and standing up for people, and what that looks like, right? Not caving in. I've never seen you cave in. That's one of the things. I've never seen you back down. You are very true to what you believe, and you fight tooth and nail. I remember, you and I were like not yelling at each other on the PT Expo floor. That's not fair. But we had a very I felt like intense conversation where I was focused on you, not the people around me. And we finally said, we need to carry this out on the podcast because there's too much stuff going on right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I
But
think
that's the beauty of us. And
yeah,
and we walk away still loving each other, but we respect each other's opinions and we respect each other's, mindset, right? And so I think in a society today where you're canceled out, if
right.
you don't agree with somebody, it's a rarity to really be able to engage with what I call in productive debate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think at the root of it, I think what it was is at the root of it, you and I agree on a lot of the things. It's just a matter of how we get there. And you're seeing different perspectives than I'm seeing. And just being able to hear each other and actually have a conversation. How's that for a novel idea? Hear each other and have a conversation about things and realize we have a common goal. How do we get to that common goal? And what does that look like?
Absolutely.
All right. So any prayer requests from you, Marion?
Oh my God.
Yep. That's who we're talking to.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God. I'm trying to think. Just a prayer for sanity.
Yeah.
In this time of chaos, in this time of a lot of noise, in this time of people losing their faith because they can't feel comfortable in the world as it exists today.
Yeah, that's a lot there. Jack, you got any prayer requests?
No.
No? Wow. His life is perfect.
It's okay.
Yeah. No, you're doing good.
Yeah.
All right, we'll pray and then we will, I'll let you go. So, Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to talk to my friend Marion. Thank you that my son was able to come in here and join us and share in the conversation. We just pray that this message would reach whoever you need it to reach, and that they would be inspired, they would be motivated, they would be lifted up with hope and opportunity, and that it may have helped somebody's day, whether that made them smile, whether they learned something, whether they laughed at our ridiculousness. We just pray that you would use that for however you want to. And we just pray that you would give us sanity, like Marion said, that you would allow us to be patient with each other, that you would allow us to be understanding of each other, but that we would also be able to be bold and speak truth and love people the way that we should. Which doesn't mean giving in. It just means doing what's right. We just pray that you would be with us and that whatever it is that we're going through, that you would get all the glory. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Marion, thank you, my friend. I always love talking with you. I love everything that you do for this industry. I love that you're involved in so many different things, that you are almost 65, that nobody can tell because you got the passion of a 20-year-old, that you continue to kick ass and share your wisdom and dominate the space. So thank you for everything that you do. Thanks for coming on. I hope that we can do this again sometime and just continue to share ideas with each other. So I love you for that. Thanks.
Make it a great day.
All right, you too. Jack, what did you think of that?
I thought it was very, very good.
Yeah, it was very, very good. Was it insightful to you at all?
It was insightful. It was also encouraging because, I mean, I did a lot of the things.
You did a lot of
we're
the
talking
things?
about. Yeah, the topics that were brought up. I mean, I don't do them perfectly, but I do them in the positions that I have.
Oh, like as far as trying to lead well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the show?
I did enjoy the show.
Did you think it went okay?
My ears hurt really bad.
Why?
I got big ears.
Oh, you've got perfectly sized ears.
They're big. Yeah.
We need to do this more often. I think that's fun. All right. For everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you would like to be part of the show, we would love to have you on the show. We want to hear more stories of people in manufacturing. We want to talk about challenges, successes, failures. We want to learn and grow together. And if you would like to do that, or somebody that would like to be part of the show, you can email Vanessa at vanessaf@alliancelasersales.com, and she will get you all lined up. We've got some awesome shows coming up. We are into June, right? We're looking at the end of June right now for people to come on. But we're continuing to load people up. We want to keep the show going. We like doing it every week. We are going to take a small break because Jack and I are going to be going to New Orleans on a mission trip, working with Urban Impact. We're really, really excited about that. Yeah, that's awesome. And if you would like to support us on that, send me a message and I'll tell you how you can do that. And we would love to have that support. But other than that, we are ready to take on some shows. We got some, like I said, some news coming. I'm not going to tease it right now. But but it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be how awesome?
So awesome.
Like hand scale. How awesome?
Like,
wow, that's pretty big.
put your arms out.
Yeah.
Like that awesome.
Oh, it's
It is
collaborative.
collaborative awesome
Yeah.
at its finest. You got any final thoughts?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care and God bless.